Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Parenting Collective. I am so excited to be joined by the incredible Jenny Brown. Jenny is a highly respected family therapist, researcher, and author who has spent decades helping parents move from overwhelm to confidence. She's also the founder of the Parent Hope Project, which is her real love and purpose, and supporting families to find like the steadiness and the clarity in really tough times like preteen and teens. Jenny has a gift for making complicated family dynamics feel simple and doable. Her book, Growing Yourself Up, has become a favourite for so many parents wanting to understand themselves and their children on a deeper level. She brings so much wisdom, calm, and a real grounded perspective to parenting, and I know you're going to get so much from her. So I hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did, and let's welcome the wonderful Jenny Brown. Hello, Jenny, and welcome to the Parenting Collective.
Thank you, Donna. Great to be here.
Oh, yes. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. It's such a gift to be able to sit down and connect. And like we were talking about before we started, it's just so important for our parents out there and the community that's listening. And I'm sure they're going to take a lot from this conversation or, some light bulb moments, especially when parents are feeling stuck and confused and, that sort of preteen teen years is a bit of a challenge, and not knowing where to go, sort of unsupported, and that sort of complexities of family life. So, like I have just mentioned to you, I've already have shared to the listeners a little bit of a glimpse into your work from the decades of experience in the family systems family systems therapy, and now what your big passion in life is through the Parent Hope Project. But before we dive in, I'd love to start by getting to know you a little bit. And if you could just describe what you do in your own words to the listeners, I would love to hear it.
Well, Donna, always tricky doing the elevator pitch of
I
something
know.
we're passionate about.
I know. Where to start?
My passion with the Parent Hope Project is number one, to actually help the helpers out there who are there supporting parents. And in that way, I can support parents to recover confidence and clarity in their role. The helpers in community, in schools, in mental health are real. They know how important parents are, but they don't want to blame parents or load guilt on parents. So I've developed training courses, parent courses that helpers can use to support parents to discover what they can adjust that can really enhance their kids' well-being, but not to load any shame or guilt on the parents in the process.
No,
so that's
and that's
my
the
real
biggest thing.
passion with the Parent Hope Project. Of course, I can also directly support parents with all the resources we've created, free resources.
Totally.
But my passion coming out of my career in mental health, children's mental health, is helping the clinicians and the educators and the well-being people and people in their practices, all the good work they're doing, supporting parents, to add this family systems lens to how they're thinking and how they're helping.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Get that into a
No, you totally did. And the more that we talk into what the questions I'm going to ask, it'll be even clearer. So a little bit about myself is I have three daughters, so they're 20, 18 and 14. And I've talked about this in depth, but two of them suffered very severely from mental health. And the eldest was suicidal, and that was horrific. And the school that we were at, were very helpful, out of everybody, probably the most helpful, but family, friends, normal sort of situations with psychologists, nothing was working, and we were lost and floundering. And the biggest thing now on the other side of it now, I'm on the other side, hope, everybody, there's hope, that the biggest recognition for us, my husband and I, is that it ends up coming down to the parents, not blame, not shame, because we're all trying to do the best we can, but we've got so many generational patterns and triggers and traumas and small traumas that we bring into tough times in our parenting. And so instead of blaming, there's none of that. It's like just shining that spotlight on, like, okay, that's not working for your family. So how can we still have loving, firm, kind boundaries, but mentor rather than demand? And like that authoritarian parenting for a lot of kids these days with the anxiety does not work. It just makes it all worse. So
Yes.
that's a little bit of why I'm very passionate about all of this. So what you're doing to support caregivers and professionals and parents
And Donna,
is
can I
really needed.
jump in? Because you've introduced your family and I introduced my professional passion, but personally, I'm now a grandmother. I can't believe
Oh,
it. I
isn't that
have
amazing?
daughters who are 40 and 38, which is really scary. I don't know
Isn't it?
how that happens so
I know.
quickly. I've got grandchildren. And I don't, as a helper and a professional, put myself, as you're also doing, in where I'm sitting in a well place. All families have symptoms. All
Yeah.
children go through difficult times. I know there's variation from family to family for a lot of factors, but symptoms of anxiety, depression, and all sorts of other things are very, very common. And they're part of my story. I was a symptomatic child as an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
So that's shaped, of course, a lot of the work that I do in my perspective as well.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Because like I said, I love having these conversations as we first met to share what's on your heart, really. And often, well, actually probably 100% of my guests that I have on have a purpose and passion in life other than being parents. And that's what they end up doing, trying to help other parents, because they've lived it, they've got through the other side, they've got some great knowledge and information around that. So congratulations on being a grandma. I mean, in a blink of an eye, I can't believe we've got a 20, 18 and 14-year-old. So I'm sure it goes even quicker. It seems like that anyway.
It does.
So yeah, so that lived experience, it's huge, isn't it? It's like, I'm still very passionate about my sleep side of my business, and I don't even like calling my business my purpose in life other than children. But it's, supporting parents in this world, which is, pretty chaotic. And parents are blamed for so many things, and it's not about blame, but it's like I said, shining the spotlight. I'm like, okay, this is, if it's working and you have a child that's, not suffering from anxiety and, compliant is probably not the right word, but like a easygoing kind of child, I don't know. You might need to not even really know about this sort of stuff, but that's not the life we live. Or a lot of people I know, children are really struggling, and then the parents are struggling, and then they're lost because the say as I do or do as I say doesn't work anymore.
No. And of course, children go through different transitions, and we can think, oh, they're traveling so well, and then they hit a new transition into high school, or in my experience, into university, and the challenges become much more real. So we can never know, but we don't want to over worry either.
We don't, and that's tough, right? Because from a anxious person that I was, worrying all the time, thinking about the future, like when we think about the future too much, it just causes anxiety. So I'm like living in the now, and all my tools around it. But, I have lived that, and I'm living it still now, but I know how to handle the stress and anxiety. But again, too much information overload has actually made anxiety in parents 100 times worse as well, because it's like they might feel like they're doing the right thing, and then you just have to think about it, and the algorithm will tell you that you're not doing the right thing.
Donna, that I put this into my parenting talks. There's been studies done of when have been the biggest spikes in parents' anxiety, and there is really clear evidence of a massive spike in parents' anxiety that was at the same time that the first parenting manuals were published.
Really?
Which is back in the 1920s.
I know. I was going to say a very long time ago.
Long time ago.
So you're saying that it's the same?
Yeah, professionalizing parenting, we don't feel up for it.
Okay.
And seek for more and more external information. And there's some good stuff out there, but how to sift through it without feeling intimidated and inept. That's an overwhelmed challenge that I want to speak into.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing for us going through our children going through mental health. It was so traumatic, but things that we would normally think, like psychology. And again, this is not negative talk of psychology. It's really good in certain parts of our life. I've done a lot myself over my lifetime. But preteen, teen kids who are struggling, and you take them to a psychologist that's not family therapy, and they don't want to go, we were just stuck. So
It can make things worse for sure.
it actually did a little bit. And so we did family counseling, family therapy. I'm now a conscious parenting coach, which is just different wording, really, meaning, it's the connected parenting. It's the understanding our generational patterns and it not being so driven by, society. Going to university, they have to do this, then that, all of these strict rules that we think are going to have a successful adult, you throw that out the window just to keep them to survive and still parent, but it ends up working out. If you can stay true to your morals and values and that your kids are going to be okay. It's tough, but for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's talk into a little bit more about the parent hope and your passion around that. I mean, we have already, but like say that a parent has a preteen and they're starting to struggle with anxiety and the parent's not quite sure where to start. In sort of layman terms, explain what it is for them.
Yeah. Well, there is a real surprise in this family systems approach that I've been working with for a long time, which is, and it's kind of what you've already said, Donna, but we've stopped making a project out of fixing the child.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. It was discovered in research by the Dr. Murray Bowen. He developed this family systems theory out of his research decades ago. And he discovered that if parents could stop making a project out of trying to change their child, control their child, fix their child, and could reverse their energy and their focus back to what's in my control to manage here and become really good observers of their pattern of interaction with the child they're worried about.
Yep.
And discover, oh, I keep doing something that isn't working here.
Yeah.
It's all comes from the best of my intentions.
Totally.
But my child is becoming either more needy or more reactive.
Oh, yes.
So it's time to pause and stop. That's the starting point. We don't have to have the perfect replacement straight away. We just learn to observe our own patterns with the child we're worried about. And it's a real game changer.
It
I
is.
think this all the time.
Well, I've lived it. And for example, with, the different girls, one's anxiety was within and you could see that amygdala flight, and she sort of froze and she really wanted to be close to me and she and I could help her. So as a mother, I'm like, oh, she needs me. That's great, right? But then our other beautiful daughter is strong mind, but her anxiety was coming out in anger. And I was frightened of that because no one told me about, fight, flight, freeze. And hers was fight. And I think poor her, because we were trying to fix that behavior, but that poor kid had such high anxiety and coming out in fighting. And because that looks really bad, and, people are like, you need to give her more consequences.
Yeah, you get judged.
So judged and still recently judged. And now our beautiful girl she's 18. She is, not that this matters, in regards to going to uni or not, but she is going to go to uni. She got A grades. Again, I don't see her open a book. So it wasn't like there was so much fear based for us because we were like, oh, what's going to happen? But the more we focused on ourselves, and I used to say to my husband and myself, still do it, it's just Teflon. Like, these words might bounce on you. Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, that child's so disrespectful, you talk about it again out of the heated moment. And then how we use our words for our kids, because their frontal cortex isn't developed until their mid-20s. And we've got to do that. We've got to be the regulated ones, don't we? Whereas we were panicked. We were like, this is not okay. But the poor kid had anxiety.
Oh, I hear that from parents all the time, Donna, how they parent out of fear. And in the process lose their identity as parents. That's what I've heard many parents say. And their effort to try to do the right thing, find the right diagnosis, get the right treatment.
Totally.
It increases this project making out of the child. And I don't know, this is an issue for adults as well. If you're made a project out of in the workplace as an adult, or your spouse decides that you need to lose weight or need to do more exercise, or it doesn't go down well, does it?
No, it
we
does not.
To it. It doesn't bring out the best in us. And that is very much the case with children. But also, I think it's very helpful for parents to be aware that symptoms present, as you've said with your daughters, in either internalized symptoms or externalized symptoms. So the turning in anxiety and mood and neediness that invites a parent to rescue, or the flip side is externalized, which is more defiance and reactivity and provoke. The parents feel provoked, and that invites the parent into over control.
Yes.
But it's the same kind of cycle. It's an over focus on the child rather than helping every parent see that we do influence our children.
Yeah, we do.
For better and for worse. There's hope in that, isn't there?
There is hope. And why I talk about this is I have the confidence and the happiness to share hope now, because, you know, there was years it was dark for me. And I talk about this all the time because things take time, right? So if I really am honest, there was years where I felt like I never left the house. I only just barely limped through my business. You know, I was exhausted. I was just trying to keep, you know, it okay. It was really, really awful. But, you know, it's a small section of our whole life, you know, and having hope is the best thing. And I always did. I'm like, it's going to be okay. She's a beautiful kid, which she's just struggling. But then you feel like a failure as a parent. But on reflection with the family therapy that we did, it took quite a bit for the therapist to get it through, because we were like, there must be something wrong. You know, this is not right behavior.
Keep searching, don't
Is there
you?
a diagnosis? This is not normal. You don't know what's happening. Yeah, you don't know what's happening at home. You don't know what she's saying. Blah, blah, blah. But we were all sitting together, so it's not. This is why family therapy is great. And she was just like, this is our daughter, and when it felt like it's worst at one of the times, the therapist was like, you need to let go of the reins, and I went, pardon? Because, you know, when things were really unraveling, she was unraveling herself. So we wanted to, you know, not that we did, but like lock her in the house and whatever. But she's like, you need to let go a bit, you know? And then we were like, And so
what helped you hear that, Donna?
Oh,
because I want to help parents discover that rather than
the
tell them
family
that.
therapy. The family therapy.
You could see it unfolding in front of you. That's so helpful, isn't it?
And also the other thing that was really beautiful, and as much as it was really messy, they really loved our daughter, right? And so that's a beautiful thing that she needed, right? So they were so lovely.
You felt known and respected as well.
Yeah, totally. And so a good therapist like yourself, typically, I shouldn't say this, I shouldn't generalize, but men often find it harder, you know. So like one of the therapists said, we hardly get the dads in, you know, and I'm like, that's sad. But dads are so important. So they had to be really gentle with her dad, we're still married husband, on being able to be soft with him, but also get him to get there. It's slow is probably the best thing, but having a
slow change is lasting change.
That's right.
Quick fixes come and go.
Don't work.
And their validity, and their efficacy.
They don't. And trying to, like we keep talking about, it's the children don't need to be fixed. And so what ended up happening over the years on reflection, and again, a lot of work of trying not to feel guilt, because we did the best we could, is even when she was a little, gorgeous kid, but her reaction was always having a tantrum, right? And we tried to fix that. Whereas that cool little kid that was worries. And so these things all came together, and it was for the love of our family that obviously we kept listening, you know, and then it clicked, and I was like, oh my goodness, all right. And then so just getting that guidance, and then conscious parenting, connected parenting, it's all same but different, is, you know, being connected, connection before correction is big, taking the pause, being a little bit advanced in regards to conversations rather than, right, you know, you've talked badly, you've got no phone. That doesn't work either. So, you know, mentoring, having people like yourself mentor the family of like, okay, how do I say that? Like what, you know, and getting that guidance has been life-changing. And we are a really big advocate for it because, you know, everything's going really well, and it was really, really tough, you know?
Yeah, it is so tough. I think parents who have a child who is struggling with various mental health issues and trying to find the right help, it's a silent trauma for parents.
It is.
My doctoral research was interviewing parents with an adolescent in a treatment unit for kids who'd been receiving help that wasn't working for years, and just listening to parents' experience of frustration, going around in circles, dead ends, being put on waiting lists. Do I go private? Do I go public? It is such a confusing landscape out there. As professionals, we need to do better to help parents with these pathways, for sure.
So you were talking about obviously anxiety and things like that, but as parents, what we have tended to do, and it's got actually worse, is overprotecting, over accommodating, and over controlling, right? And so back in the days, maybe it might have worked a little bit easier, but the day and age that we live in now, that is actually contributing to the child's anxiety without us knowing, so it's like still having boundaries, still having positive discipline and all of that, but mentoring, but the over helicoptering and snowplow, whatever they call it, we don't mean to be doing it, but everyone's doing it.
We don't. And society is adding messages that drive parents to it. So it's a really tricky one.
Yeah.
What I'm committed to, Donna, is not just telling parents stop overdoing it. I want to help them find their way out of the overdoing it.
Yes.
Through looking at their unique particular patterns with their child.
Totally.
What's in their control to change. So that and that's where family systems, it just shows the patterns we all get into when we're worried.
We all do. And it's out of fear.
And there's a way out. And I don't think it's enough just to say to parents, you've got to stop overdoing it, over accommodating.
It does not work.
Let's step back and look at what's going on, what your child is throwing at you. It's very hard, as you know well. It's really, really hard the way a child invites your protectiveness or invites you to want to step in and be too intense in trying to hold limits in a way that just feels conflict. The child is part of the dance we're in.
I know, but they're only children.
We're the ones that can make the biggest impact.
Yes, and I know I keep saying this, it's taken years, everybody, years, and lots of slow implementation. And we have messed up at times, and I have lost my mind at times, and I've cried a lot, it's not easy. But like I say to everyone and all my parents that I work with in the relationships, it's like tomorrow's a new day. Tear and repair, meaning if you've done something that you feel really rotten about, you must repair it. Not in the heat of the moment, not whatever, but true heartfeltly, I'm really sorry. As a parent, I really struggled with that situation, and I shouldn't have said that, because what that does over time is obviously they're learning through us mentoring, us trying to regulate, us being human, that we probably get angry at times or scared, but then being able to talk about it a bit more adult-like, age appropriate as the kids grow,
And Donna, what I loved about your example of repair is it was measured and it's coming from the parent modeling an appropriate apology rather than over repairing for a child because we feel guilty and then we over soothe and over nurture, and they can become quite dependent on that in the cycle. So that many parents that I've worked with over the years have intense conflict, frustration, end up yelling, the child yells back. It's a conflict cycle they can't get out of. Then they step back, feel really worried because they've heard all the parenting advice on it's a terrible thing if you disrupt the attachment. Now you've got to go and repair it. And then they move into and the child goes along with it, and over repair and over soothing that treats the child as younger than they actually are. And the child will shrink into that. So I love that you gave the example of a parent modeling what character looks like.
That's exactly
when we recognize that we're not pleased with how we behaved and how we acknowledge that and apologize.
That's right.
It was a great example.
Oh, totally. And the thing is, for me, I'm still married, and I do joke about still married because still it was hard at times. We were not in the same book at times, and we're very proud of ourselves. But there's complexities of broken families, co-parenting, new relationships. So that's a whole different level. But what I do say to my mums when I'm working with them, or dads, if a dad's I'm working with a dad, we can only control us, right? So even if have been married and I am married, yes, we can have conversations afterwards. Yes, that's a bit different, but it is his own path as well in regards to his relationship with the girls. So if it's what I say to the mums, if they're having a difficult co-parenting situation, I'm like, I'm really sorry. That's not easy, but you can be connected to your child. And that our children need one, it could be a crazy life, but one good, stable, reasonably regulated parent will help them get through the tough times.
Yeah. And if we stop trying to correct the other parent,
Yes.
they're much more likely to find their
Totally.
way because they're not reacting to us.
100%.
I'm with you. I've fallen into that in my early parenting years and thought, gosh, I need to let my husband learn from his mistakes as I'm doing all the time.
Totally. And then if he wants advice or support, it's having that conversation after, because again, typically men are hunters and gatherers. Again, I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying human biology. Women are the nurturers, the maternal nurturers. And so even if women have gone out to work, that's what we innately are. So it's also going, again, you could be in a same-sex relationship. It doesn't matter. But how is that person able to respond rather than, okay, I'm going to tell them not to do that and then talk about it after? There's so many moving parts, isn't there? And it's, if you can be a team, amazing. But if you're in a situation, you're hearing this, that you haven't got a team member, you're enough. One parent's enough.
And for children not to get caught in the triangle of taking sides with parents.
Oh my gosh.
That's part of also freeing them up, giving them space to grow.
Totally.
Which is our motto.
I know.
At the Parenthood Project.
Totally. Yeah. And again, when we're talking about preteen teens, when they're not your little baby anymore, and they start maybe talking back and all of these things, of course, you'll be talking about that when needed. But I think that the biggest advice that I would give parents when it starts changing like that is really, really look after yourself, but try and stay connected, even if they don't want to. So, I mean, teenagers want to be in their bedrooms. Like when we grew up, we didn't want to be hanging out with our parents all the time. Like it's normal for that independence to start. So don't be frightened of it. Stay connected, but the relationship's going to change. And so rather than being so dependent on you, they could really push those boundaries. And if we can regulate and not take offense to it, that'd be my biggest tip, is like try to stay connected in a way that your child, it might not be much. It might be just at the dinner table, no phones. And then the child's, in their room, I don't know, but it's trying to stay connected when it's messy.
Yeah, agree, Donna. Let me throw in a bit that I've found really useful on that. And it's in our parent manual that clinicians use to take parents through a journey of discovering how they can adjust. And there's one key idea in the manual of, am I connecting to my whole child, not the areas I'm worried about? So much of parenting connection is asking how they manage with friends today. How did they manage their anxiety about sport? Did anyone talk to them? How did they go in their tests? And again, if children feel that we have an agenda behind our connection to fix them or change them or correct them, they're going to put up their barriers. But if we get rid of our agendas and just want to get to know our children as unique, interesting human beings.
They are.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy ride, teenage years. Totally.
But they can tell if we've got a change agenda or a worry agenda. And it does become suffocating for a child. So our efforts to connect, if they can be not worry-driven efforts and not focused on the things that even our child might be complaining about, to relate to their capacity, how are they thinking about that challenge, and to relate to their breadth of uniqueness. And that's what kids will love doing. They'll love going for a coffee with a parent, or think of a dad I worked with, a separated dad, and he had a very defiant 14-year-old. They were doing shared parenting, and he was just getting caught into trying to be firm, thinking that's the best way to protect my child, all the right intentions. And he realized how much he was fueling these escalations, and he just stopped fueling them, said what his values were, gave his son some time to think about it, and started walking to the bus stop with his son every morning that he was in his care, and just seeing what he wanted to talk about. He discovered a shared interest around using weights at the gym.
Excellent.
And it really turned things around, rather than he just thought, I need to really step up to correct my child.
Yeah, and fix, you know.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is, again, there's so many things to talk about, but in one of the family sessions, my daughter goes, stop caring so much. And I was like, because of course I care. I would die for my children, you know, what awful I live. But you know what? I walked away from that and I was like, yeah, I'm annoying the crap out of her because I am
Yeah.
caring too much. And that sounds so ridiculous, but it was all about myself with this beautiful daughter who is really independent. And so didn't want the lovey-dovey mummy, you know, that was annoying her. So the more I backed off, the more that she would come to me, you know. So every child's different, but it is that. It's like actually going to where they're at, like going for the walk to the bus, and maybe the son night doesn't even talk for the first 2 times. That's the other thing. You don't just give up because
present.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
Yeah, just
amazing.
hanging out together is a really positive thing.
It
I
truly
will
is.
say something about teenagers who I've worked with in family therapy and worked with their parents in tracking patterns, to just be mindful of. Pretty well every teenager wants their parents to get off their back.
I know.
right?
I know.
That's true.
Everyone.
But
Yes.
can I also say that teenagers, without realizing it, just like parents without realizing it, are giving their parents mixed messages.
Yeah, I know.
On one
I
hand,
know.
it's get off my back. On the other
Yeah.
hand, it's I'm not coping. I'm not going to get this done tomorrow.
Totally.
Please help me. So it's very hard for parents. We're getting the mixed messages. The kids are part of these cycles we get
They
in.
are. They are.
And
And it's staying connected. And so what I found over time, which again is something that I learned, is I could have just actually sat there without trying to fix, and that would have been enough. But because it was so, I used to leave, and now we talk about it, she just wanted me there, not to fix, not to talk. So yeah. Now we could talk about this forever because I'm loving this conversation. But in regards to if a parent is having a bit of trouble, thinks, oh, this is fantastic, we'll obviously put everything in the show notes. But obviously, parents can purchase your program as well, or
There's a little self-help guide for parents called Parenting with Clarity. It's online, any
Awesome.
bookseller.
Yeah.
There's a book that I wrote that is still selling very well, and an Audible book as well, called Growing Yourself Up,
Oh,
How
I
to
love
Bring
that.
Your Best to All of Life's Relationships, which is a great family. If I can say so myself, it's my
Yes, totally.
effort to translate family systems theory to make it really accessible. And I get lots of ongoing feedback that helps.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to
have
purchase them.
Yeah,
And
well,
yes,
they're
for sure. Yeah.
easy to access, and it's a little way off, Donna, but I do have a new book coming out next year called really pulling all
Awesome.
of these ideas together, called
Yeah.
The Parenting Paradox: How to Love Our Children by Giving Them Space to Grow. So you can, I'll just sow a seed there, keep an eye out for it.
Oh, totally. I'll be getting
midway
that.
next year.
Awesome.
But the effort is to really help parents regain their identity,
I know.
know how to be a resource for their child's well-being
Yeah.
through adjusting their part in their interactions, not just rushing to get external help, which leaves parents feeling quite helpless at times, as you've already said.
Oh, totally, totally. Oh, I love that. And I will be purchasing your book. There's another, you've got actually quite a few. The other one, I like the title of Helplessness to Hope. You know,
That's
so
a
many.
book for clinicians
Okay,
rather than
right.
parents.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's a really good book for helpers. It's bringing parents' voices who are in the help-seeking journey.
Yeah.
It's really letting them tell their stories of moving
wonderful.
from there's no way through this problem of my child's mental health to actually I can make a difference.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, so wonderful. I'll put all of the show notes, like I said, everything in the show notes for people to click and follow and reach out. But thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the back and forth conversation and hearing your journey as well. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you so much. We'll speak to you soon. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave me a rating and review. I love reading all of your messages, so shoot me a DM over on Instagram. It is parentingcollective.au. I also offer a free 15-minute no obligation phone chat. If you'd like to book one, head over to my website www.parentingcollective.com.au and request one there. So try to remember to be kind to yourself and always know you're doing the best you can every day, no matter what your day is looking like. Until next time, much love.